Here are my top 10 post-punk bands ranked from 10 to 1. There's a ton of bands left out because their post-punk status is debatable, and also the list reflects my preference for the darker and more goth-flavoured varieties of post-punk. As it is my recollections from when these albums were new, please bear in mind it was a different time then. Records were fantastically expensive. We couldn't get to hear things without a physical medium, but you could go to gigs, take your friends' albums, or hope that the music you wanted came on the radio. But all in all, it just wasn't possible to keep up with every new band. For this list, I've given an example of 1 LP per band, and tunes in the playlist are a deep cut. I'm trying to recreate here the excitement of playing a new album for the first time, and although many bands in this list did go on to make arguably better albums, this was the new stuff when it first came out, and we loved it. So what exactly was post-punk? Well, the things that came over from punk were quite extensive, really. There was the do-it-yourself attitude, there was willful eclecticism, of different styles and instruments, but mostly it was the nihilism. We were deeply alienated and cynical, and everything was shit. Light entertainment was shit, consumer culture was shit, and post-punk movement, I think, did get criticism at the time for being miserable. And I would like to give a little caveat with this playlist that many of the songs on it are rather dark and depressing. If they do make you sad, that's on you. This was the music that we used to love. So here are my top 10 post-punk groups, each symbolized by 1 LP and a cut from it, not necessarily a single. So at number 10 we have The Ruts. The album is The Crack. The tune is Jar War. The Ruts were the last proper punk band, not strictly post-punk. However, they really combined reggae from sharing a studio with Misty in Roots. Their classic, Live at the Counter Eurovision, is well worth a listen. And in my mind, this was one of the best legacies of rock against racism. And okay, and then number 9, we have the Modettes. The story so far, the tune is Dark Part Creeping. They only managed to make 1 LP, the Modettes, but Ramona Carlier brought a sexy French vibe. She integrated Edith Piaf onto post-punk, and it still stands up to my mind. Okay, and then we have number 8, A Certain Ratio. The record is Sextet, and the tune is Rialto. This is the first of 3 Manchester bands on the list. A Certain Ratio were quite funk influenced, but they never really broke out. They were, however, championed by Anthony Wilson, the legendary founder of Factory, and this album in particular, my favourite, is a very dark set of songs. Right. Coming in at number 7, we have Joy Division. Their first LP, quite famous now, Unknown Pleasures. The cut from it is Shadow Play, because I just love the riffs on it, and bleakness personified, this whole LP. Okay, then at number 6 we have the Sisters of Mercy. Now they were the Leeds contribution, but they took so long to put out their first LP. The song here is Alice, was an EP. The They are sometimes considered the second wave of goth, but they were around from the beginning. God bless them. All right, coming in at number 5, we have The Fall and their first LP, Live at the Witch Trials, from which we are taking the cut called Mother Sister with an exclamation point. The Fall would of course go on to make trillions of albums, but this debut is absolutely solid, powerful, and pretty gothic. Okay, coming in at number 4, we have Killing Joke from their self-titled debut. The tune is Tomorrow's World. Some dig at 70s BBC, but this tune really summarizes the explosive debut, which was so powerful with Geordie's guitar, such a massive guitar, and Jaz Coleman, you know, so alienated, so uncompromising. Super. Then coming in at number 3, we have the Cocteau Twins from their debut, Garlands, and the cut I'm taking is But I'm Not. And these last 3 tunes are all going to show my bias to the goth flavour of post-punk. From the Scottish scene, Robin Guthrie, what a guitarist. These swirling guitars with Liz Fraser and a drum machine, incredibly powerful and beautiful. Okay, coming in at number 2, we have The Cure from their second LP, 17 Seconds. The track is At Night. Robert Smith and company are fully on top of this dark goth vibe, which they really discover in this album. I could also take any tune from Faith, the follow-up to this, for the same kind of feeling. Good old Cure, eh? Finally, at number 1, my favourite post-punk group is Siouxsie and the Banshees. The album we're listening to is Juju, their 4th album, and the cut from it is Head Cut. This really showcases John Vigil's incredible guitar skills. At this time, Banshees were coasting. Siouxsie going down terrifying rabbit holes, and Steve Severin on goth bass, and Budgie, probably the best post-punk drummer. It's a nearly flawless LP, and that is my number 1 choice. So there it is, my top 10 post-punk bands. Feel free to agree or disagree. But as I said, please remember, please give an old man a break. That, you know, we were getting into these bands when it was just not possible to hear them all. And so many that you hear on today's collections that I really haven't even heard of to the present day. And yeah, just again, that I wasn't in the scene pretty much from about 85 onwards. I was sort of following it, had friends who were keeping me in touch, but you know, that intense 79 to 81 period will never be repeated in my opinion. And there you go, goodbye.